Hi everyone, this is the audio narration that goes with your Chapter 7, Unit 5 PowerPoint. So this chapter is all about formatting and sharing your plan. So we're going to really look at project is a collection of related information, which is a database. So each of these tasks that we create and all of the costs, all of the information that we've entered so far is really in a database. But what's unique about project is how they convey that information from the database. And normally you look at that data in a different way than you normally would in just like a normal Oracle database or an Access database. And that is the focus of data through views and reports. And whether or not you looking at doing a view or a report or which of those, it depends on what data you want to view. And that's one of the really nice things about project is there's a lot of already built views and already built reports that standard businesses use. And so you can use the ones that are defined. You can take a defined report and modify it to fit your particular need. And so we're going to look at views, which is how data is presented, and then reports are a nice way you can include charts and images and tables. And the reports can be printed out, they can be saved to files, they can be shared with others, they can, you can export them to give to others. Okay, so that's one of the things. So we're going to start off just with a little history of the Gantt chart. So what is this thing? Well, it was something that was developed by Henry Gantt in the early 20th century. And of course, they didn't have MS Project then, but they Henry Gantt set this standard way of visualizing schedules. And of course, they did it manually, but the focus of Gantt charts was developed by this gentleman in the early 20th century, and it's been used and modified and cultivated ever since. It is the default view on MS Project. So when you go into Project, that is the standard view that you're going to see. And there's two main parts to that Gantt chart. On the left side is going to be the data, right? So it would be a task or kind of almost in an Excel type of a look on the left side. And then on the right is going to be the bar chart. And the bar chart is that visual way of looking at a schedule. So across the top of the screen of a Gantt chart, you can have a time scale band that denotes units of time. So depending upon your project, if it's a short-term project, those might be days, could be hours if it's very short. Or if you had something that was long-term, that time scale could be quarters, or it even could be years. So across the top would be that time scale band. And the bars on the charts graphically represent tasks. They tell you the start-stop time, the duration, the status. Those are all conveyed through that bar on the right side. So tasks, summary tasks, milestones all appear as a Gantt bar or a symbol on the bar. For example, a milestone would be the diamond. It doesn't have any width to it because it's just a point in time, a milestone that's reached. But you're going to see that symbol over on the right of your Gantt chart. So a reminder that the bar on a Gantt chart represents a task in the plan that you're setting up. So what about these Gantt charts? Well, one of the big things is formatting. You want to come up with a standard that makes sense for what type of project you have. So you can use predefined color combinations. We're going to play with that in the lab. And then there's two main types of styles that you can use to format. There's scheduling styles and there's presentation styles. So the scheduling styles are all the different kinds of styles that allow you to distinguish between a manually and automatically scheduled tasks. So the scheduling styles are all about that. What's manual, what's automatic in terms of these scheduled tasks. And then presentation styles, which is the other category of styles, it's a good option when you don't need to distinguish between manually and automatic, right? You can use that's not an important focus of what you want to represent. So you want to make sure you know that scheduling styles and presentation styles. So you can customize the formatting. You use the bar styles dialog box. You can do all bars at once, or you can just select a specific individual bar to draw attention. So I kind of think of it like in PowerPoint, where you have like a column chart or a bar chart or even a pie chart, and you want to draw attention to just let's take a column chart. And so you just want, like, maybe there's an outlier, something that's way up or way down, and so you want to compared to the rest, it's out of whack. So you could just change that single bar to something different to draw attention to it. So you can do that same type of thing in the Gantt chart. Another thing that is very nice in the Gantt chart is using the drawing tool to draw objects directly on that right side. So that could be an arrow, a text box, a circle, and then you can link these objects that you draw, whatever they are, a text box, an object, an arrow, a call out. You can link that object to a specific task. So what would happen there, if the task is rescheduled, the linked object moves with it. So in other words, that object is tied to the bar, to that task. So when the task is adjusted, that object that you've attached goes with it. And then the second way that you can link an object is to a date. So that's to a point in the schedule and not to that object. And so you would use that type of a drawing when you want to focus on the date rather than the task. So if a task is rescheduled, so it would move, that drawn object or that point, that arrow, that call out, whatever you're going to put there, stays fixed in that point because it's attached to the date and not to the bar. So when you're doing these objects, you want to think about that. Am I making this comment or this? Am I calling out the task, or am I referencing the date in the schedule? And so that would be how you would decide what you're going to link it to. Okay, so then I have in the chart it's in the book, but I just put a slide on a really quick way for drawing your objects. And the part that you care about is this number 6 here, setting the type of the link, because really up to then it's how we would do an object in Word or any of those, formatting tab, drawing tool, click drawing, select the shape, and then draw it anywhere you want. Okay, so that up to that point is the same, no matter what, which type of link you want. But then on number 6, we're going to do where we're setting the type of link. So we would select that object, and we want to go into the properties for that object, and do your size and position tab, and then select the option that you want for that link. Is it on the task or is it on the date? So hopefully that makes sense, and we'll go through that in the lab. So another view that you could have would be the timeline view. And so that's best for displaying key tasks and milestone in a simple and compact format. Because one of the things about these projects is they can get really huge. Like they could be lots of screens, lots of printed pages. So a timeline view is really nice to show a summary of the plan. And it's easily shared with PowerPoint. It's easy to email it. So a timeline view is something you want to remember when you want to get kind of that overview and not the nitty-gritty details of a project, but you want to share kind of the status at a high level with somebody. So timeline view is great for that. And it's usually displayed above the current view. And normally the timeline view is empty. You would have to add a task that's already existing and pull it up to the timeline, or from the timeline you could just add a new tasks, right? And then you determine how they're going to appear. And the other big thing about timelines is you can have multiple timelines on your one view. So you could have different timelines for different areas of the project, or different maybe you have multiple companies that are working on a project. So you could have a timeline for each of those, and those would be stacked at the top. And it's a nice way to quickly view like different pieces and parts. Okay, so reports are, we were talking about views before, and so those are things that you normally do on screen, and then reports are usually ways that you're going to present it in a nice fashion, and could be printed, could print the report to a file to share. There are several built-in report types in MS Project. You can use it as it is, you can customize it, or you can start from scratch and create your own. So reports are used to view project details, not edit, right? So like in views, you can look at your details, or you can look at the items in the project and actually edit them. Reports are totally just a view, so you're not manipulating it through a report. So some examples of useful report action is to create a graphical report within project rather than exporting it. So sometimes people output the details and then use something else to create the graphical report, but there's a lot in project. So you can include colorful charts and images in addition to the table of data. You can print the reports, you can copy them to another program. It's really a blank canvas into which you can place the elements that you want to highlight, that you want to focus on. And so it can be this dynamic mix of tables, charts, and textual content. All right, you can copy views and reports. You can do the standard copy paste, where you could copy range of names, details. You can do that for most views and reports. There are some exceptions. So the views that cannot be copied, there's 3 of them: the team planner, the form view, and the relationship diagram. Those cannot be copied out of MS Project. In addition to copying and pasting, you can print most views and all reports. Okay, so all reports can be printed. Most views can be reported. The views that you cannot print are 2 of the same. So back here, form view and relationship diagram. Team planner can't be copied and pasted. It could be printed. You can't print the form view or the relationship diagram. Always want to preview your before you print, because many of these reports are large. Okay, and oftentimes if you're just printing it on 8.5 by 11 paper, you're getting such a small. People print it on the big 11 by 14, or don't print it. Just do the electronic report. You can copy out and all that kind of stuff. Okay, so in conclusion, this chapter is really about views and reports, and how you can use and create them. And the best advice is to practice and play with your options to find what is going to work for your particular project. All right, guys, so the next movie I'm going to have is to walk you through the lab. And there's a lab for this, Chapter 7, and there is a quiz. Both of those are found in your assignments folder. All right, guys, thank you.